What is the strangest thing that happened to you that you can't logically explain? I'm too young to actually remember this, but my mom always tells the story. Apparently, when I was little, just barely able to talk, I was sitting on the floor playing with toys next to my mom, and I suddenly said, "When I was in heaven, I met a woman who told me you'd be the perfect mommy for me." I believed that before I was born, I had been in heaven, and an angel chose my mom for me. When she asked me to describe the woman, I apparently described her great-grandmother perfectly, down to the eye color. I had never met my great-great-grandmother, nor seen a photo of her. When I was a child visiting my grandma's house, my mum's mum, every time I left, I'd wave to Ken, the neighbor who always sat in the bay window looking out at the sea. They lived right on the coast of the North Sea in Hartlepool, United Kingdom. We never really talked, just a small wave before I got into the car. One time, as I was leaving my grand's house, I walked ahead while my mum stopped at the door to chat. I headed down the steps toward the gate, turned back, and saw Ken in the window. Big smile, waving as usual. I waved back. Then he stood up, gave me a thumbs up, and walked toward the back of the room. A moment later, my mum came down the steps and asked, "Who were you waving at?" I replied, "Ken." I'll never forget her face. She went pale, but didn't say a word. It was only a few weeks later that she finally told me Ken had actually died a few days before our visit. I don't believe in ghosts, but I know what I saw. I can still picture his striped gray sweater, him waving, getting up from his chair. He lived alone, and there was no one else in that house. I've never been able to find an explanation for that experience. I 100% believe you. My cousin's daughter, about 4 years old, says she talks to our dead grandpa all the time. One day, my cousin caught her singing along to my grandpa's favorite song, laughing and running around the room. When she asked her what she was doing, the little girl said, "I'm playing with Tata, and he's teaching me a song." My cousin was really spooked because there's no way her daughter could have known that song. It was an old tango you'd have to actively search for on the internet. Plus, my cousin never played it since it made her sad and reminded her of him. There have been other strange things with her kid too, and now, everyone is convinced she might actually be a medium or something. When I was 10 years old, I didn't want to go to school one day. I faked a stomachache so my grandmother would let me stay home. I've always been a bad liar, so she tried to call my bluff and told me that if I was too sick for school, she'd be scheduling a doctor's appointment. About 3 hours later, I was rushed into emergency surgery. My fake illness turned out to be appendicitis, and it was so inflamed that if I hadn't gone in that day, my appendix would have ruptured and could have killed me. The strange part is, I felt completely fine that morning. Pretending to be sick actually saved my life. About 5 years ago, I was out with 2 friends. At the time, this group of friends liked to party hard, as did I. We were a few years out of college, living in a resort town. That night, we went out to dinner and then went to a bar. We all did a round of shots when we got to the bar. Immediately after the shot, I felt like I needed to throw up. It was odd because I had not drunk much at dinner, and I was very accustomed to taking shots. This was a very bizarre reaction for me. I had been driven there by one of the friends, but I immediately decided I needed to leave. So I got a cab, went home, and felt completely fine when I got home. I would usually have been out until 4 or 5 a.m., but I was home by 11 p.m. I watched TV and went to bed, but the whole night I had a weird feeling. I woke up the next morning, and the 2 girls I was with had been in a car accident. The person driving was drunk and texting, and she hit a huge telephone pole. The pole fell onto the car, almost splitting the car in half. By the grace of God, the universe, or something, neither of them were harmed. But if someone was sitting in the back seat, they would have potentially been dead. I am 100% certain I would have gotten into that car and likely would have been sitting in that seat. I don't fuck with drinking and driving, or anyone who attempts to drink and drive, anymore. One morning I woke up and noticed my camera was on top of the sofa opposite my bed. I knew I didn't put it there because it was a very expensive camera, and it could very easily fall from this place. I had placed it in my cabinet. I went over, picked it up, and turned it on, then clicked the button to view photos. There were hundreds of photos of me sleeping, all seemingly taken from the back of the sofa. I was literally so freaked out I couldn't stop crying. I lived alone. It was just photo after photo of me sleeping. The photos were taken in QuickSnap, where the camera takes approximately 1 photo per second. I later realized the camera didn't even have a QuickSnap setting, so technically it was impossible for the camera to take those photos at all. The timestamps suggest all the photos were taken between 2 and 3 a.m. I've never figured out what the heck happened. how the camera got onto the sofa, or how it was even possible for a camera with no quick snap to quick snap. But I still have a USB with the photos on it, and it still freaks me out. Edited. I am safe. This happened several years ago. I now live with my partner, and we have several dogs and a very good home security system. There was no sign of forced entry to my home, and yes, I did go to the police, but they didn't give a shit, saying it was probably a friend playing a prank on me. I had a sleep paralysis nightmare when I was a kid, where I saw a red-eyed, dark figure standing in the doorway. It's always stuck with me, and I've called him the boogeyman ever since. One day I was browsing Reddit, and somebody painted a picture of their sleep paralysis demon. It was like the guy had painted my exact dream, and then a bunch of people commented that they had seen the same creature. It always makes me uneasy to think about. Long story short, I lost a jacket at a roller rink when I was in 3rd grade. In the pocket, I had a lucky rabbit's foot that I had bought at the skate shop inside. Months later, my mother, who is adopted, found her birth mother and half-sister. The first time I went to my newly found aunt's house, she said she had a jacket that might fit me. It was my jacket, with the rabbit's foot still in the pocket. Lucky rabbit foot, indeed. Several times a year, I'll suddenly get a thought that it's been a long time, usually months, since I last spoke with a particular friend or relative. Then, within a few hours, I'll get a voice call or an email from that person. I can't explain it. I never tell them about this because I fear losing this strange thing that I have. Happens to me all the time. I own a coffee shop, and people come and go in my life. When they pop up in my memory, I always say a positive intention for them. Totally random stuff like, I wish them fruitfulness, or I wish them good health. Whatever pops up, I simply mirror it back as an intention. About 75% of the time, they visit the cafe within a week. When we chat, my intention is usually spot on. It's completely freaky, but life is full of oddities. When my daughter was little and got upset, something in the kitchen would randomly break. It happened way too many times to be coincidental, and the things that broke did so in inexplicable ways. I clearly remember one instance very early in the morning, standing in the kitchen, telling her she couldn't have cake from the night before. She immediately looked angry, and I heard a weird plink sound in the cupboard. I opened it to find the plate on the top of the stack cracked in several places. There have been no signs of this in later years. She's 24 now, and I often allude to it, reminding her boyfriend not to upset her. Not me, but my dad. Back when he was a teen, he used to get really bad nosebleeds. He even had cauterization, and by his late 20s, they pretty much stopped. Fast forward 20 plus years. He's driving down the highway with my mom and sister, coming up to a spot where the road goes down to one lane. Out of nowhere, his nose just starts gushing blood. It hadn't happened in decades. He pulls over for a couple minutes to get it under control, then they keep going. A mile later, traffic is dead stopped. No cops, no ambulances yet. But there'd just been a head-on crash with at least 2 people killed. And here's the thing. If my dad hadn't pulled over for that nosebleed, they would have been right there when it happened. That random bloody nose might have saved their lives. One night, my clock in the kitchen stopped working at 10:17 p.m. The next day, I get a phone call from my dad saying my grandmother had passed away in hospital the night before. When we were told the exact time of death, I couldn't stop shaking. It was exactly 10:17. When I was younger, I was staying at a friend's house. His parents made him take piano lessons, so they had a piano in their living room. From the basement, around midnight, we heard a short little melody, about 5 seconds, played on the piano. His parents didn't play, and we didn't hear anyone walking around upstairs. It scared the heck out of both of us. The only explanation is that the cat might have jumped on the piano and accidentally played it, but I don't believe that, because the melody was too precise to have been played by accident. I'm very skeptical, and I don't believe in ghosts. But I remember that as a kid, I thought I could sleep with my eyes open. No flies on this one. I think it was because I was scared of the dark. Anyway, I remember seeing a regiment of soldiers march right past my bed. They appeared at the window, ghostly white and pale, and marched straight through my wardrobe. I can still remember the wispy trails they left behind, their expressions vacant and somewhat scared. I still have no idea what to think of it. Life is full of mysteries, some with answers, some without. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories.